All right. All right. Looks like we got green. We got green here, so that's a good thing. Okay. We seem to be back. Um all right. I'm going to send a message to see if we're coming across. All right. So there's that. Nick had to step away. He says he will maybe Brock Lesnar's way back. We will see. But yeah. All right. So right now we are going and all right. So yeah. So what did you think of this match, CJ? The we left off on Tony Nese and Orange Cassidy from Rampage.
This was a fine match. I'm not super high on Tony Nese. It's fine. He plays the part that I think he should probably play. He's a good wrestler. It's kind of one of those things that makes the roster look a little overinflated, but whatever. This was fine. This gave Orange Cassidy another win before ultimately what we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yes. And we're going to jump to that right now as we light the fuse and bring the boom. If Nick comes back, we'll just get his quick thoughts on this match. But yeah, it's time to talk Dynamite, and we're opening the show with Orange Cassidy versus Wardlow. I love everything about this match. I thought it was wrestled perfectly by both men. I like the pre-match interview where they, the best friends say they have manager's license, and they say, "We're gonna cheat, and we're back to no data." What the fuck? Oh, you two. Well, until this thing goes off the rails, we'll just keep doing this like we're doing. I love the match. I love the spot of you know Wardlow rips the pockets out of away from Orange Cassidy, and then so Orange Cassidy puts Wardlow's straps back up. I thought this was brilliant. Um, yeah, I don't know. What'd you think?
I liked it. I like that Wardlow finally had some freaking competition and he wasn't just beating a bunch of geeks and then putting him over like he was a total monster. He beat someone who had wins, who
Mm-hmm.
had credibility.
Mm-hmm.
That these kind of I didn't agree with babyface versus good guy versus good guy. I'm sorry, I broke the rules.
Broke the rules. Shame on you.
I know. You're gonna have to fire me.
Nah,
Um
no, you get away. You can get away with that one.
yeah, I thought so. Um I maybe would not have done that, but Orange Cassidy is fine. He's perfectly fine after this. And it gave Wardlow credibility on beating someone with a name. It gave the TNT title more legitimacy because Orange Cassidy wants it. You know, it does everything to help both of those things that, in my opinion, needed it. So I liked it.
Okay, fair enough. I'm having a I'm having an IT person, aka Ray, tell us how it's going. Yeah, like this. It's everything this match need to be because you can't have Wardlow lose, and it's do I feel it was too soon for Orange Cassidy to get shot the title? Yes, but sometimes I guess that's just something you got to do. You know,
What
so
do you mean too soon?
um, well, I mean, too soon basically in the fact that it's going good now. Great. By too soon, I mean this is maybe something you could have built to. and maybe there could have been a twinge more suspense. Because like even with as good as this match was, we all kind of knew that Wardlow was going to win because it's too soon. But then again, with that TNT title, who knows? So I feel like maybe if they did this at the pay-per-view or let Wardlow's armor chink a little bit more, we could really be on tap for a big epic match like we saw with Ospreay. And yes, I do think that they could have had the fans on the edge of their seat as much as the Ospreay match, and that's not me knocking Will Ospreay. That's just me saying that they do this match at All Out again after OC came this close to winning a New Japan title, then maybe we'd really be up again to see him potentially win an AEW title. But I disagree with that, Ray. I kind of want Sammy out of the TNT title picture for a minute or two. But it is what it is. And yes, after all the streaming problems, I am starting to drink early. Usually I drink after the stream, but I'm drinking during the stream now. But other than that, I'm good with that match. I guess maybe it does elevate Orange by being the first person to really make Wardlow seem weak, because no one since he's beaten MJF, not even MJF, really made Wardlow have any sort of jeopardy on him. So good for him. All right, I gotta re-pull up all my other stuff. All right. Next match. Well, we have a really good Chris Jericho promo next, and on Eddie Kingston going into their barbed wire match. This promo is why Jericho's awesome. I mean, what'd you think?
I liked it. I said this when we were watching it. I'm very intrigued about how they're going to do a barbed wire match because I've not been secretive about this the last couple weeks. I listened to all the Jericho podcasts, and he talked about this week his episode, his health crisis in London, that canceled some Fozzy shows and everything. And the kind of takeaway from that is that Jericho is still on some blood thinners, and that not only makes it a little bit difficult to wrestle and take the bumps, period, but also I don't think that it's a great idea if he bleeds. So I don't know, maybe now he is completely off of them, but I know that does take a long time to get out of your system. So I'm a little nervous. I trust Eddie.
Yeah.
I would just be like, okay, well, I'll do it. And it's against Eddie, so I'll do it. So this is fine. He'll take care of me. Everything will be fine. But I'm a little nervous.
Especially when the whole thing is then he's like, every drop of blood you spill will be for your sins, and it's like pretty much guarantees that there will be blood. But yeah, great promo from both of them.
Yes.
And Jon Moxley versus Takeshita. I really like this match again. This was another phenomenal match. Takeshita's the breakout star of the year so far, and his stock's only going up. You should watch this match.
Yes. The match itself was good. The reason for the match happening is not my favorite thing in the entire world.
They've basically said, fuck your ranking system. That's what they've said.
The ratings don't funky. The ranking system doesn't matter. We're just going to have random matches to decide who will face the interim champion. And I guess they're going to just aside that away with, well, it's the interim title.
Yeah. I mean, when you look, and it's Wikipedia, so, I mean, maybe that's not necessarily how AEW looks at it, but Jon Moxley is only recognized, according to Wikipedia, as a one-time AEW champion.
Correct. And that
So,
is how AEW looks at it.
so
Tony Khan has come out and said he is an interim champion. He is not the champion, so this does not count.
Yeah.
On the count.
Which, I mean, that's what they
Which
do
is
in boxing.
bullshit.
Well, that's what they do in UFC, though. That's what they do in boxing and UFC. And when you're the interim
Don't
champion,
put a fucking title on him.
that's
Don't give him a fucking belt. No.
I mean, I'm not.
Or don't do it.
Well, the only reason where that I think that I'm not up in arms over the decision is there's a standing precedent for this from other combat sports, so it's not unheard of. In quote unquote real sports, this happens, so it's not like they've just completely pulled something out of their ass. It's just kind of like, okay, well, this is what they do in UFC. This is what they do in boxing. So, that's kind of why I'm not angry about it. But it also goes back to the argument I made way before they even crowned an interim champion, and that is, and I get, again, I'm not complaining about the decision, but it's like, hey, since this actually doesn't count and it's not a recognized world champion, fucking throw some caution to the wind a little bit more. Put that fucking belt on Eddie. Put that belt on Darby Allin. Put that belt on, somebody else, because then it's not, especially Eddie. You could play up the, hey, you weren't actually a champion. You were just like the placeholder interim champion, kind of playing into that whole Eddie having to have.
Back.
Yep, Nick is back. We're talking Dynamite, and we're talking. We're right now on Moxley versus Takeshita, and kind of the talk. Well, we've sidetracked that into talking about interim title, and I know Nick, and we're gonna circle back and get to what you thought about the other two segments. How do you feel about the idea of interim champions? Because Jon Moxley is not recognized as a two-time AEW World Champion by, just the stats of the belt. He is a one-time champion. He is currently holding an interim World Championship. And CJ feels like, well, don't give him a belt. Don't do that. And I kind of said, well, but they do the same thing in UFC and boxing, where it's like, okay, this person isn't the world champion, but they are the interim champion until the champion is able to come back from injury. You being somebody who follows those sorts of sports, how do you feel about the idea of an interim champion and how it's just like, okay, you're the champion, but you're not? How do you feel about that in this situation?
I have been a proponent of a while for interim championships. I've been a proponent for interim championships in wrestling for a good while. I think it makes more sense than stripping. I'll also say this though, I was a wrestling fan years before I was an MMA fan. And I still follow MMA, but not as much as I used to. But I used to go to every single Buffalo Wild Wings fight at Buffalo Wild Wings.
We went to quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, and I went to a bunch of them even like separately. Like I went to almost every single one from like 16 to 24. Like I was really into it for a long time. But I first always was a wrestling fan. And I first heard about interim champions. I was like, what is this? And I went to go, wrestling fans specifically are really, they're all about like history and title lineage and stuff like that. And interim belts do make a title's lineage look very weird. I'll say that because when I got into like UFC, I would look through like the light heavyweight or the heavyweight title lineage, and it's like interim champion, and then the interim champion lost it to two other guys, and then the champion came back and they either beat the champion and then became the world champion, or they lost and they never were the world champion, but they were the interim. So I understand, because even me, I was like, well, that's stupid. Like, this isn't what they do in wrestling. But once you kind of get used to the concept of an interim champion, it just kind of you just get used to it, and it works. And um, yeah, I think that it plays into the sports feel. It was very silly when Cody did it for 2 weeks. That doesn't make sense. But so yeah, I like them. I know a lot of people really don't, but I also think a lot of people that don't like them don't follow combat sports and have never seen it before. And if you're
Right.
just used to a very neat title lineage, which is either this guy lost to this guy or vacated, and that's what your whole, it's just like very linear. Um, boxing and well, boxing's a whole nother thing because there's a bajillion world titles, but
Mm-hmm.
UFC specifically, like the lineage is not neat. It looks like a family tree more than a chart. But I don't know as far as what that means for the lineage of the title. If you're saying that he's just considered an interim champion. Um, and that really just comes down to what you believe. Like, I think there's a lot of people that would say people who were only interim UFC champions, they would still call them world champions. So like, oh, he won the title. Like, he still won the title.
Right. And that kind of
So
went back to my whole idea that I said weeks ago, and I'm sorry for the people that just heard this point watching live, but I'm just catching Nick up. Kind of goes back to what I was saying. We're like, well, maybe they should have took a few more risks with this, but they went with the safest option, which is Mox, and that's fine. But like that, like, hey, if you're not going to be considered the world champion, then you could play a little bit more fast and loose right now. But
I'll say this about the whole thing. I think that if you're going to do interim championships, they should not be doing they should not have had Wardlow come out the next week and be like, "I'll wait for the real champion." That's stupid. They shouldn't have had that. They shouldn't have had him say that. And they need to. If I was Tony Khan, I would be like, just do not fucking say that. Like, you shitting on the whole concept, and it's a concept people are already like rocky with in the first place. Um, and also, as far as the real sports, and you want to emulate UFC, um, world champions do not do title eliminator matches, and I hate those so much. I beg Tony Khan I would beg him if one thing, stop doing that. I hate it. It's WWE has been doing it for forever.
mhm.
I think it was stupid then. Even before I watched UFC, I thought it was stupid, but especially after that, when you're world champion, he only fights to defend his title.
The
You can
only
get away with it in tag matches in wrestling, but he should not be just. They kind of explained it with like he wanted this match, but
yeah,
they didn't do that with Thunder Rosa.
I wouldn't call it a title eliminator. I wouldn't have
They
said
called it that.
I this is just me.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have gone with that. I wouldn't have called it a title eliminator. I would have just been like, have Moxley be like, yeah, saw this kid, blah blah blah, I want to give him, I
Call it an
want to.
exhibition match.
Yeah, call it an exhibit, or it's called like, it's like it's just a singles match. It's a non-title match, and I want to give this kid a shot, and just leave it at that, and then
But you have to though. If he would have beat Moxley,
listen,
he would have had to have gotten a title shot.
That's what I'm saying. Just do
But
like
he
this thing.
didn't even beat him, so
He
there
didn't.
was no
Yeah.
need for that whole story.
Yeah, there
anyway.
that shouldn't have been a story. It should just been they should just left that whole part out, and then hypothetically, I want to give this kid a shot. Oh my God, he pinned John Moxley. Everybody. Then you could have built up to, oh well, since he beat the champion, you could have him say through interpreter or subtitles, hey, I was given an opportunity to wrestle the champion non-title match and I won. Now I want a world title match. If you're going to insist on having the champion wrestle in a non-title match, don't call a title eliminator. Just have like the whole, oh, he lost. Well, guess
He
Takeshia's gonna win.
wrestled Eddie Kingston the week before. He just finished wrestling Eddie Kingston. Eddie and Mox have a thing. Just be like, hey, put Mox on 30 seconds that it took you to, announce to your audience what this match was and why it was happening. Put Mox on and said, hey, my buddy Eddie said that this was a really tough fight, and I'm all about fighting, so let's go, kid.
Yeah, just do that, and then like if he were to win, then go like, oh, well, he's probably going to get a title shot now if he can beat the champion in a non-title match. Don't put anything in there where it's going to kind of downplay the rankings and the things that you're trying to establish. Just say like, oh, hey, he beat the champion. Oh, well, then he's now in the top 5 and can challenge or something. Like, don't put something on there that you're not going to follow through on or that would just bastardize everything. Just kind of don't say anything and then go from there if you're going to decide to put the guy over him or not. Kind of, dare I say, even though like it's never really in singles matches outside like the G1, like how New Japan does it. You know, we're going to talk G1 here after we're done talking about Dynamite, and it's not really an official rule of the G1, but it's just kind of something that happens is if you hold a belt in New Japan and someone beats you throughout the course of the G1, when your belt's not on the line, when the G1 is over, you can go, oh, hey, I beat you in the G1 and you're the champion, so I want to shot the belt now. You know, in 2018, Kenny Omega was the IWGP World Champion and lost in the G1 to Tomohiro Ishii. So both Kenny and Ishii didn't win the tournament, but Ishii went, hey, I beat Omega and, you know, I beat him, so I want a title shot. And they're like, yeah, you can have it.
Why the G1 is such a good storytelling device. But this has been, I can't think of the one that happened before this. I know that Thunder Rosa just lost one of those matches in Japan. And then Moxley won his, but I can't remember what it was, but I'm almost positive they did another title eliminator against the champion within the last month. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wish I could think of what
Hangman
it was.
Did one.
But it just maybe it was. I know Hangman wrestled Takashita. That was just a match. It was just a singles match.
Yeah.
But while he was champion,
say it was Dante Martin that got one.
Yeah.
Against Hangman.
He just got a title shot.
Was it just a title shot?
His was an actual title match.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe it was for the TNT championship or something. I don't remember, but I don't want them to fall into that. It's very lazy booking. Yeah. And it's not good. I don't like it. It's one of the things I like the least about WWE is how they establish their contenders. And I just think those matches are silly. And I hope that they don't do it for a long time after this.
Okay. Circling back, CJ and I already talked about the opening match, but what do you think of Orange Cassidy and Wardlow? Just so we can get your thoughts, and then we can move on with Dynamite.
It was pretty good. The layout was done well. They did all of it was an Orange Cassidy match for 5 minutes, and then it was just a regular match for 8 minutes. But so I think that was well done. But that was another one I did not like that they even booked that match in the first place. Going outside of our just the mark thing, but you have two hot good guys. Well, not, hot, whatever. You have two good guys with momentum.
I don't know that Orange Cassidy guy.
Guys. Yeah. But you have two guys with a lot of momentum on their side. And neither one of them, they immediately did Orange Cassidy as the de facto bad guy which I told you in the chat, made me laugh out loud. And they're like, we're going to cheat a lot. And they pulled a chainsaw out. Like that actually I thought was funny.
You probably will hear some, in Louisville, Kentucky, some, ridiculous atheists say that he's be very angry about the chainsaw, I'm sure.
I thought that was hilarious because they were trying to cheat, but they're just good people and they were so bad at it that they're like, yeah, fucking chainsaw. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? That's not even how you cheat. You're going to murder him? I thought that was a funny went with their character. So it was pretty good. But I felt like the crowd, they didn't know how to react, and neither did I.
Crowd was
really.
not great. I'm gonna say this: the crowd in Savannah, Georgia, were not hip on AEW last night.
No, there was a couple things here and there, but yeah, I know like everyone's been talking about he hit the F10 and like they didn't make a sound, which I'd forgive them for that because I feel they said that was the first time someone's kicked out of it. Maybe it was, but I feel like Cody did or something at some point. I don't. Maybe that's not the case, but that hasn't really been his finisher in months. So I don't really. That didn't really bother me that much. But yeah, this like I would expect that to be the case if you put those two. If you put two popular good guys that are building momentum against each other, like, and it hasn't been built to, it's not like Warrior Hogan where they built to it and it's like this epic face off between two beloved good guys. It was like
Right.
thrown out there. So I mean,
I did say
they reaped what they sowed.
Just to reiterate to Nick, I did kind of say like, they're doing All Out in Chicago, and the last time it had a pay-per-view in Chicago, Orange Cassidy was this close to winning, beating Will Ospreay for a belt in New Japan. You could have maybe built this up to a pay-per-view level where it's like, oh, okay, what's going to happen here? Like, this could have been built up to a pay-per-view. It was a good match. It needed to happen. Sometimes, when you're building up a champion, you got to have that, you got to have a strong competitor lose on TV. Like, it happened. It's happened before. It'll happen again in several different wrestling promotions where it's like, oh, hey, this person's getting the title shot and then they lost. But, now. But I do feel like they kind of.
They don't really left a little money on the table. Guys on Orange Cassidy's level right now.
Yeah,
they have bad guys who are under and over Orange Cassidy's level.
Like pretty much,
don't really. That's like there's no like upper mid card bad guy that he could have beat tonight or Wednesday.
Yeah, like other than squashing Sammy maybe, and you don't want to squash, and I'm tired of Sammy. He's like the only guy that I could conceivably think of.
Shouldn't be in the TNT picture right now. But like everyone, like Brody King would kind of be there. He's lower than Cassidy, but he just had a world title match. I definitely wouldn't have put like Malachi up in there. I guess maybe Andrade would be similar, but
yeah,
there's just not a lot of depth for their bad guys right now.
No,
which I think is kind of everyone's pretty liked on that roster if you're a good wrestler, and I think that's kind of come into bite them a little bit.
Yeah,
but that's where I think you would have somebody. Some of those signings that people are like you even said earlier, like Tony Nese, like why is he here? Tony Nese, Sean Spears, like those guys should be your mid-card bad guys that usually win, but you can have them lose to the TNT champion, and it's like, oh well, that makes sense that they're in this match, but they're not going to win.
All right, getting back on the course. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus promo. Loving what they're doing right now at this pairing. Although I feel like this whole thing is just a big swerve to get at Christian. We're going to have a Jurassic Express reunion when all's said and done. But still, I'm enjoying it while it's here. Really cuts the bone on Brian Pillman Jr. there. And squashes Griff Garrison because why the fuck not? Anything else anybody wants to add on this one?
Who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
That's a Jungle Boy. That's Griff Garrison. Claudio Castagnoli and Jake. Oh, go ahead.
I like this Luchasaurus Dark character a lot. I like it gives me very like early Kane vibes with the fire and just like his presence. I hope that he stays like this actually, because I mean he got pretty.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how much more there was left for him to do as a good guy. Someone asked up as far as like when AEW first started, like people were like, oh, Luchasaurus is awesome. But like he kind of is, he's at the same level he was when they started, where a lot of other people have gone up. So I think this is good for him.
I can see that. I see both sides of the argument. I just kind of feel like, it just kind of happened out of nowhere. So, and the whole thing is like, the reason I feel I predict it going in that direction is, there's the whole Christian says he I'm breaking my rule, but his shirt literally says "worked everyone." So like this could be a good like, haha, no, we got you, comeuppance for Christian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
CJ, anything you want to add on this?
No.
All right, Claudio Castagnoli and Jake Hager, the Real Americans Explode. I thought this was probably one of Jake Hager's best matches he's had in AEW. Singles matches.
So far.
Yep, so far. I don't really have anything else to add to it. It's a good win for Claudio, and yeah.
I liked it. I liked this match a lot, actually. It's probably I don't know. There was quite a few good matches on this card, but I've always liked Jake Hager. I liked him when he's Jack Swagger. He's not the most charismatic guy in the world, but he's a good wrestler. He has been for a long time. Yeah, I liked it. Love Claudio. Love to see how they're really doing him right now.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, like, I remember when Brian came back, as someone who was a fan of this person before they went to WWE, like I said, like, it feels really cool to hear American Dragon Bryan Danielson again. It feels really cool to hear Claudio Castagnoli again. And that's not me saying that he was bad as Cesaro or anything of that nature, but it's just whenever that was my first exposure to him, getting to see him be featured and not have a name change and being able to go by the name that he had when I first became a fan. It's really cool to say Claudio Castagnoli again. And see him referred to as such.
I'm glad he didn't come in as CZRO or whatever it was that they said that he'd put out the copyright for.
Yeah. Anna Jane, Serena Deeb, good feature for Serena, and then, kind of a little, see, that again, like, there's so much single stuff still on the table because they had Ty kind of talk some trash to Anna after the match, going back to their history. So it's like, establish your women's division in the single. You have so many good singles feuds. Like, why do you got to like take half of them away for a tag feud right now? I really do not want that. But
that was a really egregious example of this is the women's part of the show. Like they had the Jade Cargill segment, and then the match, and then the Ty Conti segment, and the Britt Baker thing. Like it was all like back to back. Like, let's get the women. Let's get this over with.
Yeah. No disagreement there. Not saying it's good, but no disagreement there. Main event time. Triple threat match for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Will Hobbs versus Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee, and Swerve Strickland versus the Young Bucks. I did not expect this fucking title change. I really did not.
Neither.
This was out of nowhere. I'm not mad at it.
I'm mad at it.
Why are you mad at it?
Why? What? Really?
Say your piece.
This was dumb. This was dumb. Okay, where do I start? Why? Okay. If there's a legitimate reason why the Young Bucks had to just pick those belts up and drop them right to somebody else, then please let me know, because otherwise you had a straight shot to FTR that had a great story behind it. It was long term, and it would have been exactly what your people in Chicago at All Out would want to see. So you shit the bed there.
That part I agree. That part I agree with, but it's not what I would have done, but it's not a hill worth dying on to me, if that makes sense.
But why? Why are we giving the tag belts to Keith Lee and Swerve Scott. I'm done. Swerve Scott.
Swerve Strickland.
If just whatever, my brain's done at this point. Why are we doing this when we were just teasing that whole team breaking up, and everybody was excited for that because both of those guys are just way better individually.
That part I see. I really hope this isn't just like a hot potato I'm really hoping this isn't a WWE sort of hot potato where it's like, oh, they gave them the belts. Oh, no, they broke up. Young Bucks win again. I really don't want the tag belts to go into the TNT title of you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it.
Do the hot potato so that the
Young
Bucks get more tag reigns.
I mean, I'm going to call out a lot of people who claim that on principle Cody Rhodes should never won the TNT title more than twice or once or ever, on the fact that he's an EVP. If people want to see that happen, sure. I hope they don't. I'd actually if they're going to do this, I hope they're committed to it, but I don't know. It felt out of nowhere. It felt it's not what I would have done. But I'm not so adamantly against it that I don't want to see where it goes. It's not like the TNT belt yet. The yet's what's either going to make this good or bad.
It's really close to that line for me. And it just, they put the cherry on top by having Ricky take the pin. That really cemented the
I could honestly, I could honestly see the Young Bucks just go, oh, we beat you, and then again, okay, you're gonna tell that story, but your tag titles are devalued, and all the people here on the internet that said that Cody Rhodes should never be a champion again because he's an EVP. Does the same principle apply to the Bucks, or is that just an anti-Cody Rhodes sentiment when he was in AEW? Let me know in the comment section below.
Let me defend this a little bit, I guess, because I was also not expecting it. I would say I was maybe I had 12% on Starks and Hobbs and 2% on Swerve and Glory, and the rest of it on the Bucks as far as who I thought would win. So I really didn't think it was going to happen. But I'm similar to you. It's not what I would have fantasy booked, but I'm not that mad about it either, because I think that they're an awesome tag team for one thing. They work really, really well. They have really good chemistry, which they were thrown together, but they've also been together for pretty much the entirety of their stays in AEW. So I don't feel like this is one of those two singles guys win a title type of things. But it was good in that it didn't piss me off, but it was a surprise. It was something I definitely didn't see coming. It was the good guys winning, and as far as if you want to call it a swerve, I wouldn't necessarily call it that. Just kind of like a surprise win title change that I would not have expected, but it doesn't piss me off. So we'll see. I think everyone kind of was wanting the Bucks versus FTR, and I kind of feel like we're still going to get there, and they might hot potato the belt a little bit. We'll see what happens there, but I don't anticipate this to be a long title reign. If they drop it back to the Bucks or somebody else.
If it goes right back to the Bucks, I'm really gonna love the backflips that some people do to talk about how this is great because the Young Bucks did it. And I pick on the Young Bucks a lot, but some of their supporters make it easy.
Another thing of this, if you really look at it from a meta-textual perspective, if you want to call it that, the Bucks, they're not, this is implied because you can't say this in the storyline because it's breaking the fourth wall, but it's something that is still there in the eyes of the fans. The fact that the Bucks would win the titles 3 times would piss a lot of people off from a non-kayfabe point of view. because they're
Would it
EVPs and they
because
did it 3
I,
times?
would
I
it
think it would.
because I'm the minority when I say fuck the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are almost outside of like Jim Cornette, some old school fans, and and I don't hate them. Like I don't even dislike them, but I'm just kind of over them.
I
Like
see that a lot,
I
that
think
sentiment a lot.
I'd say the sentiment I see the most about the Young Bucks is this is the greatest tag team of all time, and whatever morality principle that we have for anything else, it goes out the window because this is the greatest goddamn tag team that ever existed. And yeah, you're gonna put the belts on 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 12 times, 100 times because they're the fucking best ever. That's the sentiment I see a lot. They're the Young
See, I really
Bucks,
don't
and
see that a lot. I see a lot of people annoyed with the Bucks, tired of the Bucks, over the Bucks. I will say this about the Bucks though too. They definitely, for whatever reason, I can't really like quantify or qualify it, but the Bucks winning the belts did kind of reignite the tag division. I feel like it just feels more vibrant than it was
I
a couple months
disagree.
ago.
Like that to me, they kind of like just kept. The Young Bucks don't elevate. They don't elevate the tag belts to me. They're.
They did to me, and I probably disliked them more than you. So that's interesting. But
To me,
you just have more
the
going on. You
Young
have FTR
Bucks
building up steam. You have these 2 teams that they were just in there with.
the Young Bucks as tag team champions in AEW, especially now, are. And this is going to piss off a lot of people because I'm going to take a pot shot at a movie everyone seems to love. It's like they're like the new Batman movie of the tag team division. Is it terrible? No. But it's kind of like going out. You're going out of your way to like go like, isn't this amazing? When really it's not that amazing, but you're supposed to think it's amazing. So you're kind of led into thinking, no, it's great. That's how I see it. It's like it's not any better than a lot of other shit that's out there, but because you're supposed to think it's so cool and awesome, you can't not have that opinion.
It was very brave for you to be so wrong on your own stream.
No. CJ, you want to tell him about the new Batman movie?
I mean,
Kind of. How'd you put it? Really wants to suck its own dick?
I did say that.
Yeah.
It's very angsty 13-year-old. It is like the 4th Harry Potter movie of the Batman series.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel like the Young Bucks continually win the tag. I'm not going to say angsty 13-year-old, but it's kind of like it's the kid that me and Nick knew, who was like too smart for his own good about at LWA and St. Louis Anarchy shows. It's like, you're supposed to like this because internet dictates you like it. Like
the
it's
10-year-old who is on Reddit.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, they did so many cool. Look at that, that's so much more exciting than the stupid shit you're gonna see anywhere else. Young Bucks, Young Bucks. Like that's kind of the vibe I get, where it's like, it's not actually
it's
that
so
good. It's not actually that good. It's just kind of like, what are you gonna do? Say it's bad? Good luck with that,
we'll do
bud.
a special podcast because I don't really have time to explain why you're wrong about this new Batman movie. So that's like a whole separate thing. I'll have to win that.
I never said the Batman movie was bad. I just said I didn't think it was that good. I still take the Dark Knight trilogy over it any day.
Batman
Begins
is way better.
You think Batman Begins is better than the new Batman movie?
I'd say they're probably. Yeah, I'll take Batman Begins over that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Regardless,
not by much, but I would.
That's why it's so strange, because everyone I talk to, like that is a wrestling fan, is on our wavelength when it comes to the Young Bucks. I don't really see a lot of people, and even when I do see like tweets and stuff, it's not necessarily what you say you're seeing. So that's just
When
an
I see
algorithm thing.
yeah, I guess my algorithm is, you know, these are the fucking Young Bucks, and they're the greatest tag team of all time, and they have Dave Meltzer's ratings to prove it. And if you don't like them, you're either a Boomer Cornette supporter or wrong, or both.
I must be in the Cornette algorithm because I just see like the Young Cucks, the Hardly Boys. They suck.
No, I see this as the greatest tag team of all time, and fucking stack them. And people
And
are
like I'm
welcome.
saying, from a person, anecdotally, all of like the people I talk to about wrestling are very much over the Bucks. So I think that them winning it 3 times will piss a lot of people off, and that people are going to be scared, like they were for the second FTR Bucks match. That the Bucks are gonna. There's like this whole outside looking in. It's this meta narrative thing where you're like, the Bucks now they're the most
The
times
thing,
they've won the tag team championships. They're gonna beat FTR to win this trilogy, and you're like, oh, I really fucking don't want to see this happen, and people are gonna be really
yeah,
hot to
because
see FTR win.
with my algorithm, it's kind of like and I know Cody's not with the company anymore, and it's kind of irrelevant, but like all I ever saw was like Cody should never beat Archer. He definitely shouldn't have beat Brody Lee again, and him winning it a third time, God save your soul. God, this terrible wrestler has won it 3 times, and he's not only is he a terrible wrestler, but he's an EVP. He's putting himself over the other talent. But that principle changes because when the other EVPs won, because that's Kenny by God Omega, the greatest wrestler of our generation, and that's the Young Bucks. And Kenny didn't really abuse his quote unquote abuse anything. He just had one run, and it was what it was. It wasn't, I didn't feel it was like any sort of yeah. It wasn't anything great, but it wasn't anything that made me think he didn't do any Jeff Jarrett Triple H shit with it. So I'm not gonna like really come down on Kenny Omega, but the principle of the EVP shouldn't be winning the title. That sort of morality went out the window with everyone when Kenny Omega won because he's Kenny Omega, and the same morality of shouldn't be stacking title reigns like Jeff Jarrett, not like Cody did. Goes out the window because they're the Young Bucks.
Do you? I don't know. This is tangential, but also because I think, like you said, everybody expected this to lead to FTR versus the Bucks for every tag team title belt in the world in Chicago. Do you think FTR is going to be? Aren't they fighting the Briscoes again?
Yeah, this does build. This does build more.
Win that.
Yeah, that I will say this. They did make me think maybe FTR loses this. And I'm this is also tangential, but I think Triple Mania is coming up. I'm not hip on Lucha, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But they are also holding the AAA tag belts, and there's probably going to come a time where AAA is going to be like, "Hey guys,
we have those back.
We want those back."
Like
and that could also be happening.
Borrowed a movie like 7 months ago.
Yeah, so that could also, maybe it's not happening because they can't do that. And they're like, well, AAA is going to want their belts back. And then if,
I just can't see them beating the Briscoes twice unless they're about to launch ROH and Tony's not going to sign the Briscoes.
Yeah, there is
the case.
And there is a rumor that Warner Media does not want the Briscoes because of some past things the Briscoes have said, which that's not what this show's about to talk about. But I am going to say that yes, maybe the Briscoes did say things that they shouldn't have. They really shouldn't have in the past, and I'm not going to condone what they said. But they work in GCW where Effie has said they're changed people, and they're good people, and they've grown as people. So, yeah, I mean, how long do we hold this grudge? And I'm not going to say, like, you got to hold people accountable, but, if people change, then what do you like?
Yeah.
What is this? But that's neither here nor there right now. That could be the other thing I'm seeing.
I see. I maybe see. That really sucks for FTR if they lose all their tag team belts and they never get that big moment because they are so hot right now.
Yeah.
They're like on fire.
They should be
And
the world. They should be the AEW Tag Team Champions. They should like even if they lose the Ring of Honor titles and the AAA Tag titles, they should be the AEW Tag Champions because they are the best tag team in AEW. They are the hottest tag team in AEW, and they could reignite this tag division. Like that's
and
hard work.
Dax
That's
is
hard.
in
That's
contention
my
for wrestler of the year.
yes. Just
Like-
as a singles, and then throw in like all the great stuff he does as a tag team. You're really you're really cooking there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that's where we end up, and I have a feeling that it's gonna be the thing you said you don't want. I think that they're gonna lose. It's gonna be a short hot potato reign. The Bucks win it back. They break up. The Bucks are super smarmy about winning the championships more than anyone, and everyone's really nervous that the Bucks win this trilogy. And I hope that they don't. But I don't know. We'll see. I think Ring of Honor pay-per-view will be very telling for
Yes.
for FTR
Yes.
and Briscoes.
So that is Dynamite. Real quick, we're going to talk about the G1 Climax, and I know that CJ's not really hip on New Japan, so there may not be much in the line of predictions, but G1 Climax starts maybe even after the stream. I don't even know because just the time change, but this is the first year they're going to do 4 blocks with A block and B block meeting in the semifinals and C block and D block meeting in the semifinals. Block A is Kazuchika Okada, Toru Yano, Jeff Cobb, Lance Archer, Bad Luck Fale, Tom Lawler, and Jonah. Just as a guess, like, what are some matches out of A block you guys might be looking?
Who's in A block again? We'll go through those again.
Kazuchika Okada, Toru Yano, Jeff Cobb, Lance Archer, Bad Luck Fale, Tom Lawler, and Jonah.
Okay.
Well,
Okada wins the block.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I don't follow New Japan as close as I used to. I'm really considering getting New Japan World to watch the G1 because
I would advise it. The problem is you're going to get charged now, and then you're going to get charged again 2 weeks later. Because that's just how their system.
Why is that?
They charge you for when you start it, and then they charge you on the first of every month. That's just how it's set up. So
what is it, like $10?
Yeah, but there's been people that like have signed up on like the 28th of the month, and then got charged $10, and then a couple days later got charged $10 again.
Get wrecked.
I don't know if
I had it for a while.
I don't know if Okada's going to win the block. I honestly think that I think Yano's going to be a spoiler, and I think Yano and Fale are going to spoil it for like.
Was the Fale always a spoiler?
Yano and Fale are the big.
They're
the big spoilers. Yeah, they don't usually win. They don't usually win the block, but they usually get one big upset that keeps. And maybe even Archer, because I remember back in 2019, Archer was the spoiler for Ospreay. And I think those guys are going to be the spoiler, and I'm going to go with Jeff Cobb to win A block.
I would like for it to be Tom Lawler. I really like Tom Lawler a lot. I'm glad he's in this.
Yeah, he's been good and strong, and they're going to give him a chance in New Japan proper.
In MLW, he was good.
Block B is Jay White, Taichi, Tama Tonga, Tomohiro Ishii, Sonata, Great Khan, and Chase Owens. Taichi's going to spoil either Ishii or Jay White. I don't know who I'm picking for the to win the block. Or not Ishii, I'm sorry, Sonata or Jay White. I think I'm going to go with Jay because I really think they're going to make Jay the first champion who gets it. Since they've added the because it used to be that there wasn't no challenge at the Tokyo Dome stipulation. This was just a big tournament. You know, it was kind of the title was just what you did whenever it wasn't G1 time, and the G1 was the biggest thing. The title was just kind of secondary.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say secondary. Easy's not here, but it's kind of like the title is the IndyCar Championship, but the G1 is the Indy 500. You know, like what's more important, winning the biggest race of the year or winning the year-end championship? And that's kind of what this is.
It was its own it was a big deal to win that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
something that is missing in a lot of
yeah, like Masahiro
wrestling.
Chono
But
is like legendary in New Japan, and he like only held the IWGP title once for a month, but that's over. Like nobody looks at the fact like, oh, he only held the title for a brief period. They're like, he has 5 G1 wins and owned the G1. You know, like so he's at that point in time. It's like, well, what's bigger to be the IWGP champion or to win the G1? And at the time, it's kind of like winning the G1.
yeah, no one really, no other company really has that.
But now it's kind of like it's definitely taken. It's definitely
become like an extended Royal Rumble.
Yeah. It's still great and it's still a big deal to win it. You know, especially like when Kenny Omega won it, that was a big fucking deal, like huge, because Gaiji never won it before. But you know, it's still since they've kind of like established the belt and established a year-round sort of thing in New Japan, it's not become as big as the belt anymore in recent memory. That being said, I really, they've never had, since they've had that stipulation of the winner getting the main event of the Tokyo Dome, they've never had the champion win to get to choose their challenger. And with the way they've kind of been making Jay, I feel like they're really going to play into that. So I think Jay is going to win. But Sonata's been on the cusp so much. I could also see them telling that story. But I think Taichi is going to spoil winning the block for one of those two. But I think I'm going to go with Jay. What do you say?
Yeah, those were actually my two names. I don't know how they've really been booking Sonata in the last 6 months, but those were the two names that came to mind. But I'm probably going to say Jay White as well.
Block C, so is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, Evil, Hiroki Goto, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Aaron Henare. I think I'm going to go with Naito in this one. I think a big reason why they didn't let him do anything for Forbidden Door is because I think he might win the whole thing. And they really wanted to make sure he didn't get COVID or get hurt. Like, I think they're pure speculation. I think they were, having Naito be the bubble boy because they were building up to a big Tokyo Dome main event with him and Jay. But I'm going to go with Naito, but maybe ZSJ is a spoiler. Like to win the block, or maybe spoil it for Naito. ZSJ is the spoiler too. Like he spoiled it for Naito in the past. So if anybody can come out of left field, maybe not necessarily left field, but like if anybody could kind of like throw a wrench into what everybody expects, it'll be him.
What about Kenta?
He's not really. He's not the Kenta from Noah. Like he's just like I'm not saying he's not just a guy in the Bullet Club, but he's not really the guy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
He's Xavier Woods. But who are you going with?
Well, I guess Naito.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll agree with you on that one.
I
haven't been following it close enough to know. But I mean, I would like it to be Zack Sabre Jr. He's my guy over there, but
Block D is Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Juice Robinson, Yoshihashi, El Phantasmo, Yujiro Takahashi, and David Finlay. It's gonna be either Ospreay or Shingo.
Mm-hmm.
I would normally be picking Ospreay, but I feel like there's some intrigue to Shingo and Naito having to face one another for the right to go to the finals, two LIJ members. So